Hi there, welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're unpacking a really powerful and, quite frankly, incredibly timely document that is completely challenging the way the tech industry operates right now. We are looking at the Efficient Computing Manifesto, which, by the way, you can find and read in full right now over at lullums.com. This document is a massive wake-up call regarding exactly how we use, how we sometimes abuse, and how we account for artificial intelligence. We're going to bridge the gap between the invisible digital world of LLMs and their very real physical consequences.
Okay, let's dive right into this by translating the hidden price of tokens and their carbon footprint. When we type a prompt into an AI, the output feels kind of like magic, right? It's instant, it feels weightless. But there is a massive physical reality behind the screen. According to the AI Energy Usage Estimator, running a model like GPT-4 on an NVIDIA H100 processor burns roughly 36 joules per token. So doing the math, processing just a 1 million token batch consumes about 12 kilowatt hours of electricity. To put that into a perspective we can actually visualize, 12 kilowatt hours is enough energy to drive an average US car over 30 kilometers. Every single prompt, every generated paragraph we ask for, has a tangible physical footprint attached to it. It's not just code, it's literal combustion.
So with these massive power demands, and keeping in mind that data centers are projected to account for up to 20% of all new electricity demand in advanced economies by 2030, you'd naturally think the AI models themselves would track this stuff. I mean, they process all the knowledge in the world, right? So do they actually know their own environmental cost? It's a completely fair question to ask.
And the answer brilliantly illustrates the irony here. None of the major models have real-time tracking of their emissions. An independent researcher named Rod McLaren actually ran an experiment where he just asked the top AIs what their carbon footprints were. And the results? Frankly, they're pretty funny. ChatGPT will guess a range of 2.5 to 5 grams of CO2 per query, just basing it on third-party estimates. Google's Gemini? It'll go search 250 websites and hand you this wordy report that gives absolutely no definitive answer. Grok will actually try to do the math and tell you a specific chat costs exactly 0.00078 kilograms of CO2, but then it immediately admits it's just guessing based on industry parallels. The truth is, the infrastructure just doesn't natively report this to the user. We are flying totally blind when it comes to the real-time ecological cost of our queries.
Now, what's really fascinating here is the human element that has emerged from this blindness. The Efficient Computing Manifesto points a finger directly at this trend it calls token max-out, or token maxing, and we really must severely criticize this. It's a performative, gluttonous culture where developers are actually treating mindless AI consumption as a flex. We are seeing engineers bragging on social media about burning through billions of AI tokens. Entire companies are blowing through their annual AI budgets in a matter of months. There are even quotes floating around from industry leaders suggesting a top engineer should be burning $250,000 in tokens every single month. It's wild. It has literally become a status symbol to be as wasteful as possible.
But the manifesto brings receipts. As data from a study of 22,000 developers proves, this token max-out crisis absolutely does not make you a better coder. In fact, the data exposes the lie completely. As token usage aggressively rose among these developers, bugs actually increased by 54%. And worse still, code review time multiplied by a factor of 5. Just think about that for a second. More consumption definitely does not equal more productivity. It just results in sprawling, untrusted code that requires human engineers to sit there and spend 5 times as long cleaning up the mess. We are basically using the metric of absolute waste as a false proxy for worth.
We need to shift away from this performative vibe coding and get back to genuine software engineering. The manifesto sets up a brilliant contrast to help us see this. On the performative side, you've got tokens burned as a flex, sending every tiny little request to massive cloud models, and just sprawling prompts without any review. But on the genuine side, you have tokens spent with strict purpose. You have local inference, meaning you run the models on your own hardware whenever feasible to save server energy. You rely on private efficiency logs instead of public leaderboards bragging about your server costs. The enemy here isn't the AI itself. The enemy is mindless consumption dressed up as competence.
So the crucial point we need to take away is that there's a solution to this crisis of waste. We are going to expose the core elements of the Efficient Computing Manifesto, which, again, you can read in full on lullums.com. And look, this isn't about being a Luddite or refusing to use AI. Not at all. It's a principled stance on how we use it. Let's break down the actual principles they propose for developers and organizations to fix this broken culture.
This all builds into actionable steps. Principle 1. Local first, cloud when necessary.
If you have the hardware, like an M4 Mac Mini or a decent consumer GPU, run the model locally. It improves your privacy, it cuts down latency, and it dramatically shifts the energy dynamic. Principle 2 is to right-size the model. You absolutely do not need a massive 70 billion parameter model to do a basic task when a 7 billion parameter model works just fine. Escalate your compute power only when the task actually justifies it. And principle 3, prompt is code. A refined version-controlled 50-token prompt is vastly superior to a lazy 500-token brute force prompt. We need to start treating our prompts with the exact same respect as our production code.
The final elements dictate exactly how we should evaluate success. Principle 4 demands that we measure what actually matters. Track the bugs per feature shipped. Track the actual user outcomes. Track the energy consumption per useful output. Never ever track raw token consumption as a metric of success. And then there's principle 5, which might honestly be the most important one. Understand before you generate. The model is there to accelerate your thinking, not replace it. If the AI generates a block of code and you cannot explain exactly what it does, you haven't engineered anything. You've just delegated your own cognition to a machine.
The manifesto ends by reminding us of what software engineering was originally all about: compression, clarity, and constraint. Doing more with less. We really must reclaim the dignity of our craft. They use this provocative, adapted quote from B.F. Skinner that perfectly hits the nail on the head. The question is not whether machines think, but whether men do. The ultimate goal of AI development isn't simply to make machines think, it's to ensure that in the process, we don't just mindlessly stop thinking ourselves.
This whole manifesto represents a massive shift in perspective, moving us from a culture of unchecked digital gluttony over to one of mindful, efficient computing. So check out the manifesto at lols.com, try running a model locally, and let's start treating our tokens like the real-world resources they actually are. So I'll leave you with this. What are you mindlessly delegating to AI today that you really should be doing yourself? Think about it. See ya.